Zach, I called you in here because I'm very concerned about your progress in AP Psychology. You're just not putting forth proper effort. And I don't understand why you're on your phone in the middle of class when I'm trying to communicate some information to the class. I want it to stop. And if it doesn't stop, there's going to be real consequences.
Sorry, sir.
Are you preparing for the test?
No, sir.
Are you reading the Myers text?
No, sir.
Are you coming to Breakfast Club?
No, sir.
Are you doing the study guides?
No, sir.
Well, what do you expect to happen in here, Zach?
I don't know.
What are your goals in life, son? Zach?
I don't know, sir.
Do you want to graduate?
Yes, sir.
Well, how do you think it's going to happen?
I don't know.
This is unacceptable.
I'm really sorry, sir. I'll try harder.
We need to see behavioral change. We need to see improvement.
Sir, I'm sorry. I promise I will try harder.
Thank you.
Man, I hate psychology.
Zach, son, we want to talk to you about your current grade in psychology.
Dad, I'm playing Fortnite.
Son, your schooling is more important than your little video game over there.
Dad, I'll do it later. Come on.
Son, I can't help but feel like your video game is negatively affecting your psychology grade.
Dad, one more game.
Son, your future is important, son, okay? Your grades will affect your future.
Dad, there's only 26 people left.
Son,
Come on.
son,
Dad,
son?
let me get this dub. Let me
Son?
get this dub.
son, you can get a dub by getting an A in psychology. That sounds like a dub to me.
There, I died. Are you happy?
Good, now we can finally talk about your psychology grade.
No, I'm out of here.
Zach, stop! Zach, get back here this instant!
Oh, a shooting star. I wish that I was an adult.
Zach, you won't be successful if you continue on your current track. You need to mature.
Zach? Act like an adult. Clean your room.
Oh man, that sure was some sleep. Oh man, something feels different. I don't know what it is. Hey Mom, where's my Reese's Puffs?
It'll be ready soon, Lord.
Mom, Mom. No, Mom, it's me, Zach.
Police, police!
Oi, bro! This is the police!
Oh shoot, the police! I gotta get out of here.
You went that way.
Don't worry, man. I'll take care of this. boy, bruv!
Wakey, wakey. Good morning.
Huh?
I'm Dr. Toboggan, Mantis Toboggan.
Dr. Mantis Toboggan? I've heard a lot about you.
I am a world-renowned doctor. You have quite an extenuating case. I haven't seen as bad of a case of spontaneous aging as this in years.
Spontaneous aging?
It's early onset aging, and it doesn't make any sense.
Wait a minute. The shooting star. It worked!
I don't know what you're talking about, kid, but some of the symptoms of early onset aging can be feeling the need to talk about the good old days all the time, muscle soreness and aching, and not really wanting to do much.
Well, I don't really feel that, but it's pretty cool that I'm an adult now.
Just wait a few days, you'll start to feel it. I've only seen this a couple times before, but me and my colleagues have made a video to help acclimate you to your new adult life. Oh hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Mantis D. Toboggan, and I'm here today to tell you about your case of spontaneous aging. Now, a brief introduction by my man, David Myers.
Hi, I'm David Myers, author of your textbook, Psychology, edition 7, 9th edition, sorry. I'm looking forward to opening your minds to psychology. So take a look, and we're going to talk specifically about adulthood.
This is Mantis D. Toboggan here, talking about developmental psychology and specifically adulthood with my compatriots. Emerging adulthood. In young adulthood, emotional ties loosen further. In early 20s, many people still lean heavily on their parents, but by their late 20s, most people feel more comfortably independent, empathize with their parents as fellow adults. As schooling became mandatory in the Western world, the age of independence began occurring later. The average age of marriage went up by more than 4 years since 1960s. Westerners typically ease their way into adulthood, while more Eastern cultures push their children into adulthood at a much earlier date.
Physical development. Physical abilities, such as muscular strength, reaction time, sensory keenness, and cardiac output, all reach their peak at the mid-20s before beginning to decline. Athletes are usually the first to notice, however, most people barely perceive these early signs. During early and middle adulthood, physical vigor has less to do with age than with a person's health and exercise habits. For women, there's a gradual decline in fertility and an onset of menopause. Men experience no equivalent to menopause. They do, however, experience a gradual decline in sperm count, testosterone level, and the speed of erection and ejaculation. Physical changes in later life. Life expectancy differs from males to females, with females tending to outlive men by an average of 4 years worldwide and 5 or 6 years in Canada, the United States, and Australia. By age 100, females outnumber males by about 5 to 1. Few people live to 100. Even if severe diseases and illnesses were completely eliminated, the average life expectancy would be around 85. As the body ages and becomes frail, cells begin to wear down and stop reproducing. Emotions can also affect life expectancy. Chronic anger and depression can increase the risk of poor health and may even lead to premature death. Sensory abilities. Physical decline begins in early adulthood, and as I mentioned earlier, people don't usually notice these changes until later in life. Visual sharpness and distance perception diminish. The pupil shrinks, and the lens becomes less transparent, which causes older people to require more light to see, with a 65-year-old needing 3 times as much light to see like a 20-year-old. Muscular strength, reaction time, and stamina also diminish, as well as the sense of smell and hearing.
Physical changes in later life continued. As you grow older, your immune system starts to weaken, but those over 65 suffer fewer short-term illnesses. The neural processing slows down. Compared to teens and young adults, older people take a bit more time to react, solve perceptual puzzles, even to remember names. The lag is the greatest for complex tasks. The regions of the brain that are important to memory start to atrophy during aging. In young adulthood, a small gradual net loss of brain cells begins, contributing to a brain weight reduction of 5% or so by the age of 80. Late in life, atrophy of the inhibition controlling frontal lobes seemingly explain older people's occasional blunt questions and frank comments. Exercising the body feeds the brain and helps compensate for cell loss. Physical exercise stimulates brain cell development and neural connections, perhaps due to increased oxygen and nutrient flow. This may explain why active older adults tend to be mentally quick older adults. Exercise also promotes neurogenesis in the hippocampus. Exercise helps maintain the telomeres, protecting the ends of chromosomes, more likely to rust from disuse and to wear out from overuse. And now moving on to dementia and Alzheimer's disease. These diseases stem from a substantial loss of brain cells and deterioration of neurons that produce the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Mental disintegration doubles roughly every 5 years. Alcohol dependence can damage the brain. Alzheimer's strikes 3% of the world's population by the age of 75. And first, the memory deteriorates, and then the reasoning. A diminishing sense of smell is associated with the pathology that foretells Alzheimer's. After about 5 to 20 years, the person will become emotionally flat, then disoriented, then incontinent, and finally mentally vacant. Studies have shown that those who exercise their brain more are less likely to form these kinds of diseases. Those who use it less often lose it.
Cognitive development. As we age, we remember some things well. For example, when older people are asked to talk about several of their most important life events, they tend to name events from their teens or 20s. Early adulthood is a peak time for some types of learning and remembering. There are several studies that show younger adults having a far easier time remembering new names or recalling lists of words than older adults do. Prospective memory remains strong when events help trigger them. Time-based tasks are more challenging for older people, and habitual tasks can be the most challenging. Teens and young adults surpass both young children and 70-year-olds at remembering something. Remembering also depends on the type of information that is trying to be remembered. Meaningless information is hard to retrieve the older you are, but if the info is meaningful, then an older person can use their knowledge and experience to remember it, though it may take longer. Cognitive development continued. David Wexler concluded in the 1970s that the decline of mental ability is a natural part of the aging process. This was conducted in a cross-sectional study. In the 1980s, a longitudinal study was completed that suggested that aging led to a decline in mental acuity, but not at the accelerated rate that was previously believed. This study showed a curve that peaked around age 55 and began a slow decline after. As we age, our problem-solving skills decrease on average, while our crystallized intelligence tends to increase.
Ages and stages. Many people in their 40s may seem to go through a midlife crisis, although there is no evidence for a peak of divorce, suicide, or distress within people in their 20s. Divorce has been shown to be the most common in people in their 20s, and suicide has been shown to be the most common in people in their 70s and 80s. Many times, what triggers this distress is not a person's age, but rather significant life events such as losing a job. The social clock is a culturally preferred timing of social events such as marriage, parenthood, and retirement. Events that happen by chance can have lasting influence. Many times romantic attraction is often influenced by chance encounters. Adulthood commitments. Two basic aspects of our lives dominate adulthood: intimacy and generativity. A healthy adult is one who can love and work. Marriage is most likely to last if both the partners are well educated and over the age of 20. Children with cohabiting parents are 5 times more likely to feel the parents' separation than children with married parents. And marriage is a predictor of happiness. Relationships can last both if they argue but are also showered with affection, and if they never argue but also seldom show affection to each other. Studies have shown that for a marriage to work successfully, there should be a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions, which means that for every negative interaction that a couple encounters, they should have 5 positive interactions. Studies show that an empty nest is a happy nest. Parents often have been shown to have greater happiness in their marriage after children leave to go for college. Parents often experience a post-launch honeymoon, so studies have shown that parents are happier when their children leave the houses.
Well-being across the lifespan. Younger and older people are confirmed to be happier than middle-aged people. Risk of depression lowers at older ages. Older people's amygdala have less activity towards negative information. Brainwave reactions to negative images lessens with age. Emotions occur less with age. Over time, you start to feel more neutral and mood-wise, and not as happy, but not as sad. There are 3 main ways people have successful later lives. Biological influences, which include good nutrition, no genes causing a risk of disease. Another one is psychological influences, a good outlook on life, physically and mentally active life. And then social cultural influences, support from close friends, family, meaningful activities, safe living conditions, cultural respect for living. Death and dying. The most difficult loss is the death of a spouse. It can trigger years' worth of grief. Each culture deals with it differently. It's better to face death with dignity and integrity as it gives meaning to life.
This is continuity in stages. Development is steered by genes and experience and is seen as either gradual and continuous or as defined stages. The belief that development is separated neatly into defined periods has been supported by many early psychologists, but recent studies have refuted this research by showing young children have some traits that are said to only be reflected in older people by other studies. Additionally, the belief that development is steady and constant has been challenged by spurts of growth in the brain that only happen at certain periods during a lifespan. Neither is fully accepted as a comprehensive explanation of our development, but are accepted as a team driving our development. This is stability and change. There are 3 general ideas that researchers agree on in regards to developmental psychology. The first 2 years of life are a poor predictor of traits that a person will reflect through their whole life. Older children and adolescents are subject to change but show more traits consistent with those that they will reflect in later life. There are much greater rates of workplace issues with delinquent children, but many kids who have suffered abuse and committed crimes will later in life bloom into successful adults. As people age, their personalities stabilize. Some characteristics, such as temperament, remain much more stable than others, but other characteristics are a lot more subject to change, such as personality and preferences in many different things. In some ways, aging changes everyone. Many shy, fearful children develop out of that trait by age 4. Furthermore, many irresponsible 18-year-olds have developed into functional, responsible 40-year-olds. This reflects the idea that not everything is set in stone and that there's a fair amount of variance in development from person to person.
All right, thank you for opening your minds and expanding your knowledge.
I know it seems like there's a lot of downsides to aging, but there are some upsides as well.
Are you kidding me? This is awesome!
Where are you going?
Out.
Well, Zach, I gotta say, this is an impressive turnaround.
Really?
Yes. By the way, you're looking quite older now these days.
Thank you.
You've kind of hit maturity, haven't you?
I think so, yeah.
You actually look like you're an adult now.
Thank you.
And I have to say that your turnaround is indicative of your maturity. You have really impressed me in how well you have changed the course of your academic progress in this class.
That's great.
So, I'm proud to show you that your essay received the highest marks in all of my classes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This means a lot.
So, what do you think was the trick?
I don't know. A good night's sleep, I guess.
Oh, very good. Because whatever you're doing, continue, will you?
I will. Thank
Come
you.
here, let me give you a hug.
Oh man, sure does feel good being old enough to drive. Dude, driving's awesome. Do you know how convenient it is that I can drive now? Another stop sign? There's been like 50. There's been like 50 stop signs! I don't understand. I used to be so good. What happened?
I'm so old now. I haven't played Fortnite in 60 years. I think it's time for one last round. I'm about to get the dub.
I have to say, Zach, I'm just so proud of you.
I wish I was an adult.
Thank you for opening your minds and expanding your knowledge.
Oh, thank goodness it was all just a dream.
Hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Mantis D. Toboggan.